Good morning, everyone. My name is Andrew Wallace. I'm the Federal Member for Fisher and I'm the Chair of the Israel Allies Caucus in Australia. There are so many luminaries here today. I won't recognise all of them. There are a few people that I will recognise, but we are here to relaunch the Israel Allies Caucus of Australia. And there has never been a better time to relaunch such an important group. I take this opportunity to welcome His Excellency Amir Maimon, the Israeli Ambassador to Australia. So what is the Israel Allies Caucus? The Israel Allies Caucus, and I should also recognise the many members of Parliament who are here today. We have 35 members of the Israel Allies Caucus that are here today. Welcome, Senator James Paterson. And it goes to show just how strong support is in, I'm sorry, Mike, the coalition party room for the State of Israel, because that's what the Israel Allies Caucus is all about. It's about supporting the State of Israel and Jewish communities in our countries. Australia is the 51st country around the world, the 51st Parliament, to have the Israel Allies Caucus. The Israel Allies Caucus is not a parliamentary friendship group like what Senator David Fawcett leads, which is generally a bipartisan group. The Israel Allies Caucus, whilst it is welcome to all members of Parliament, we do tend to be a bit more boisterous in our support of Israel and the Jewish communities in our own countries. So we are one of 51 countries, 51 parliaments around the world that have this caucus. So we are part of an international organisation, and there's never been a more appropriate time for the relaunch of the caucus in Australia than what we are seeing today. Just this morning, we've seen the appalling video of 2 New South Wales health workers and the anti-Semitism that is spewing from their lips. And it is incredibly important that as faith leaders of all faiths and as parliamentarians, that we single out anti-Semitism where and when we see it. And part of the great thing of this caucus is that it is open to 151 members of the House of Representatives and all senators to take that philosophy back to our electorates, to be shining lights. One thing I've learnt from the rabbi is a Jewish phrase that all the darkness in the world cannot extinguish the light of one candle. And if we can be that one candle in our own electorates and in the Australian community, we will have done good work. I'm going to obviously talk a little bit about the appalling attacks on October 7 in 2023. That has given impetus to this organisation and the relaunch, and I should emphasise that this is a relaunch. We stand on the shoulders of giants. In Erica Betts, that was the first parliamentary founder of the Israel Allies Caucus, I think going back to around about 2012, maybe even a little bit earlier. After that, it was Stuart Robert, and then I'm the third person. But it's because of October 7 that we have seen such strong interest, and I really want to thank my parliamentary colleagues for standing up and for speaking up for their support for the State of Israel. I should say probably privilege of going to Israel only 2 months after October 7. And I have to say that was a life-changing experience for me. To talk to families, to see the sights, the scenes of the atrocities. And I was with David Fawcett and a number of other colleagues that were on that trip. And it was life-changing. From a personal perspective, I'm not Jewish. I'm as Catholic as they come. But when I was in high school, I read Schindler's List in Year 12. And that was one of those defining moments for me as well, because when October 7 happened, I thought, well, what can I do to be like Oskar Schindler in some way? And this is my way of ensuring that never again, when we say never again, we mean never again. And Australia has been racked with anti-Semitism since October 7, and it's up to each and every single one of us to fight to ensure that we stamp it out.
As chairman of SCAFI, which is the Southern Cross Alliance for Israel, which we started in around 2018 with the rabbi over here, Rabbi Reisenberg, it was the purpose to bring Christian groups and Jewish groups together, not only to be seen together, but to stand together for our morals and values, our Christian Judeo upbringing that we felt was being lost in whatever political form, school and education. And so we gathered some 40 organisations, which represent some 300,000 to 400,000 Jews and Christians across Australia, from ICEJ, members are here, Christians for Israel, Bridges for Peace. Then we had our Jewish organisations, Zionist Federation, the AJA, Peter Wertheimer, many of them coming together and saying, we will stand together. And so we started running a series of Zooms to introduce both politicians and technicians, people from Israel, the ambassador has been on a number of times, and just sharing about our common values and ethics and what it is to live here in Australia. We were a loose body, and so during the time, and particularly after October the 7th, we decided that we had to have a more legal form of a body. And in conjunction with working with Andrew, with this launch that has finally happened for the Caucus, we formed the Israel Allies Foundation Australia as a non-for-profit DGR that's purpose is to support the Caucus and help you with education, be a voice into our databases, which are quite large, and just a few of the objectives to promote or help control human behaviour that is harmful, abusive, for those who are suffering from anti-Semitism or anti-Zionism, to promote social cohesion amongst groups of Australians, Jews and Gentiles, and all colours. And we aim to do that by physical events, conferences, providing media, providing educational forms. And just to mention today, Norman and Barbara from the Indigenous Friends of Israel have told me they've just written courses for Year 5 and Year 6 to be introduced to schools on the history of why anti-Semitism has been risen. So we're working to get out to the public, but also supporting the Caucus. And we'd love to be able in a year's time to send new members of Parliament across to Israel with all the connections we have over there, so that you get to understand the day-by-day stuff, not what's read in the media. Because when you go there, as Andrew said, it's like, wow, we never see this side until I went there and I saw what they were doing and how they have been a blessing to many nations, which is what their call is for. So it's with proudness that we launch, not only relaunched the Caucus, but we launched the Israel Allies Foundation Australia today, and a few of the directors are with us today, and the founding rabbi is with us today as well.
I'll just share a few words. In all my years in the rabbinate, I've never heard somebody say, "Rabbi, you spoke too short." Honourable Senators, His Excellency, friends and colleagues, I think first and foremost we need to give thanks to Hashem, to God, who has brought us to this milestone of the relaunch of the Israel Allies Foundation, of Israel Allies Caucus and Foundation. I do want to give special thanks to my colleagues, to John Lockwood, to Errol Katz, Selwyn Heilbrunn, Mark Mudry, Professor Greg Rose, Doug Abrahams and George Collier, who have really put in tireless efforts and diligence to bring the foundation that was actually just launched on Monday. The events, the weeks and the days following October 7th have been difficult days for Israel, with an unprecedented onslaught of anti-Zionism and anti-Semitism in the media, the public arena and academia. There's a well-known adage that evil prospers when good men are silent. In this room, I'm pleased to say there are many good men. My dear friend Andrew Wallace, together with your colleagues. And may I say, you have not remained silent. You have spoken up. You have raised your voices in the media and in Parliament against the lies, against the untruths. You have spoken against this evil of anti-Semitism, and you've stood side by the Jewish people in their hour of need at their community events, in their rallies, and even coming to our synagogues where Andrew spoke. And you did not just pay lip service, but your words and your actions and your deeds came from your heart. They came from your soul, because these are your principles, these are your truths, and these are your beliefs that anti-Semitism is an evil that needs to be eradicated, that Israel has a right to defend itself against Hamas, and the Jewish people have a right to live in their biblical homeland. This must be the mission of the Israel Allies Foundation, to support the Caucus and to stop the hatred and the anti-Semitism and bring social cohesion back to our society and restore those Judeo-Christian values which were the foundation of Australian society. Perhaps the time has come when we need to bring God back into the public arena, at very least with a moment of silence and reflection before a school day, to give people and children to understand that all men are created in the image of God and they must be respected. I conclude with those great words that God spoke to Abraham, that all those who bless you, you shall be blessed. And let me say, God's blessing is coming down in abundance in this room.
But if there is one thing that I learned, and it takes me back to 1965, when I attended the second grade in elementary school in the city of Beersheba, a place that is well known here in Australia. So at that time we didn't have mobile phones, and the internet was not invented, so we were writing to each other memories. And I remember a memory that a classmate by the name Nurit Roman wrote to me. She wrote to me, Amir, not all those who show friendly faces can be referred to as friends, and not all that is glitter is gold. The gold can be tested in fire, and friends in a time of need. And during the last 3 years, I discovered by myself that not all those who show friendly faces were our real and true friends. Something that I can't say about the people that are sitting around this table, that are here today with us. And this is really an opportunity for me to thank you from the bottom of my heart, because Canberra can be cold, and not just because of the weather. And to have refreshing support, true support from the people that are here in the room is very, very meaningful. And once again, we say in Hebrew, Todah, thank you very much. Last but not least, every Saturday, Jewish people, after the reading of the Torah, recite a special prayer for the state of Israel. And since day number one, and without taking anything from the importance of the prayer for the state of Israel, and by the way, Jewish people also prayer for here in Australia for Australia, and to England when in UK, but without taking anything from the importance of the prayer, for me it's also very important to focus on promoting Israel, because Israel is not just about the challenges. Israel is not just about the war in Gaza, and Israel is definitely not just about the conflict. It's like if an Israeli diplomat or any other foreign diplomat would focus during his or her tour of duty in your beautiful country only on one aspect of life in Australia. And guess what? It will neither be the footy nor the cricket. So it's very important to praise and promote, because the glass is not, empty. The glass is half full. Yeah, thank you. Also an opportunity to thank you, Andrew, for your leadership. In a time when Israel was criticized, it was a refreshing wind to read your messages and statements about the just war that we are facing, not since October the 7th, but since the inception of the State of Israel. And it's still going on. It's not over. And this is the time to speak up. This is the time to show your friendship. And for me, this is yet another opportunity to thank you from the bottom of my heart. Thank you.
Can I thank you for coming? Can I thank our special guests, John Lockwood, the Rabbi, and His Excellency. Amir, you are a good friend. And I do want to single out once again Mike Kelly for the continuous work that you do and that Michael Danby does in trying to elevate this important cause in the Labor Party. You are lone voices in the wilderness, and we thank you for the work that you do in particular. Sure.